For the time that she was held captive, that is every parent's worst nightmare. And every hour that went by, her parents were concerned whether they would ever see her again. And they lived that nightmare for an entire day.
2 suspects are behind bars tonight, charged with kidnapping that missing teen on Monday. She's safe now, was found yesterday, shortly after an Amber Alert went out to phones across the state. And shortly after she was found, police were able to locate the possible attackers and brought them in for questioning. We have those names now, and those 2 suspects are 38-year-old Samuel Bolling and 19-year-old Dayla Ferrer. They're being held with a $200,000 bond on a slew of charges. Those charges come as it's believed that during the abduction, Bolling's made a ransom call to the girl's parents. But maybe the most important call in this case is the one that a liquor store employee made to the 17-year-old's parents to tell them she was safe. Today, the girl's grandmother got the chance to thank that store owner for their role in bringing her home.
I can't express how happy I am just standing here trying to be calm without jumping out of my skin with excitement and wanting to bounce around. Is just, it's just indescribable. I just want to thank everybody in Hot Springs and all the surroundings that helped come together, and I'm sure everybody was driving everywhere just looking for, it didn't matter what kind of car, but white with Tennessee tags.
The white Nissan attached to that Amber Alert is also in police custody and was confirmed to belong to Dayla Ferrer. We haven't seen a court date yet for trial, but it has been moved to Arkansas Circuit Court as a state case. We also don't know a motive, and there has been a gag order placed on this case, so not much more information is expected to be shared with the public. But investigators told me that they're digging into every call that came in and any possible leads to really thoroughly look through this case.
We're getting a better understanding of what happened the day the state came to a halt back in April to look for a 17-year-old kidnapped victim from a Central Avenue parking lot in Hot Springs.
Court documents reveal 20-year-old Dayla Ferrer admits to agreeing to kidnap the girl to get money from the girl's family. Ferrer pleaded guilty to 1 count of aiding and abetting kidnapping in federal court Wednesday. According to the documents, Ferrer says she voluntarily helped Samuel Bolling in the kidnapping by pretending to need directions. Documents show once the victim agreed to help them with directions, the suspects attacked the teen once she was inside their car. Ferrer then says Bolling called a relative of the teen and demanded $10,000 or the girl would be, quote, sold to human sex traffickers or cut up into little pieces and disposed of in a lake. Ferrer says she and Bolling held the teen overnight until the next day, when she was able to walk to a nearby liquor store and was rescued by police. The documents also say, quote, Ferrer freely admitted, among other things, her voluntary participation in the kidnapping for the purpose of monetary gain.
38-year-old Samuel Wayne Bolling Jr. entered his guilty pleas to both counts, each punishable by a minimum of 20 years to life in prison and a fine of up to $250,000. 20-year-old Dayla Ferrer also pled guilty in the same court to the single count of kidnapping, while the conspiracy count was withdrawn as a part of her plea agreement.
New details revealed in court this week about the kidnapping of a Hot Springs teenager back in April of 2022.
Samuel Bolling was sentenced to life in prison for his horrific crimes against our victim in this case. And today, this morning, we all just came from the courtroom where Dayla Ferrer was sentenced to 15 years in prison for her horrific crimes and her part in this criminal conduct. This case is every parent's worst nightmare. What happened in this case is that a young girl was abducted in broad daylight off the streets of Hot Springs, Arkansas. She was lured into their car. Once inside their car, she was attacked by Samuel Bolling. He put a cover over her head. He struck her in the head so hard that the marks were still visible more than 24 hours later. And that was just the beginning of this nightmare for our victim in this case. They took her to a place in Hot Springs where they restrained her, they covered her face, they blindfolded her, they gagged her, they restrained her with zip ties, and she was forced to sit there completely helpless while these 2 criminals taunted her and threatened her. Not only did they threaten to kill her during that time, they further threatened to cut her into pieces and to throw her into the lake. Then they threatened to sell her to the cartels into sex trafficking if her parents did not come up with the ransom money.
Before Ferrer's sentencing, she made a statement to the judge, taking responsibility for her part, but also claiming to be a victim of Bolling. Her mom echoed that belief to us outside the courtroom.
She said, Mama, you don't know the half of what I went through in the last 3 months. She can't even talk to me about it. Part of the reason she took the plea deal is because they said that she would be able to testify against him and tell her story, and she would be able to help in putting him away. Now he's away anyway, that's what everybody wanted, I agree, but she was not able to tell her story and what all he had done to her.
In her statement, Ferrer stated the kidnapped girl was kept in a bedroom and at some point was sexually assaulted by Bolling. Ferrer says that's when she told Bolling to let the girl go.
We wish that she could have been brave enough and strong enough to go get help. I wish that she did not believe him when he said people were following her.
Attorney Folk says Ferrer's statement seemed heartfelt, but it came too late.
The truth is that we'll probably never know the true reason why these two decided to commit this horrible crime. The only thing that I was left thinking is that it seemed to be too little and too late. And I think the statements made by our office throughout this case are that she had every opportunity to shorten the terror of this family and this victim, and she declined to do so. And so certainly it seemed heartfelt today, but my opinion on that is that that is simply too little and too late. For the time that she was held captive, that is every parent's worst nightmare. And every hour that went by, her parents were concerned whether they would ever see her again. And they lived that nightmare for an entire day. This sentence is important because it holds these criminals accountable for this horrific criminal conduct.